Hello and welcome to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things fantasy fiction.
I'm JC.
And I'm Sean.
And today we're starting our read-along of The Strength of the Few with the chapters 1 to 13. And just heads up, we might use a strong language and explore adult themes.
You can rest easy that there will be no spoilers from beyond chapter 13. From now on, consider us your buddy readers. Also, if you're enjoying the show, please take a second to rate us wherever you're listening. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, all of it. It helps more fantasy lovers find us, and it's one of the easiest ways to support what we do. A quick tap, and you've made our day.
Okay, then, for the first time in this new season, let's dive into...
Wait, what just happened? And we really need it today. So welcome to the multiversal mess that is Vis's life. Because one world full of political intrigue, magic, and near-death experiences just wasn't enough. We open with Vis split across 3 parallel worlds: Res, Obertium, and Lucian. If you remember, our chosen one was accidentally triplicated by a cosmic gateway. In Obertium, Vis teams up with Siror, Ulkiskor's brother, who casually brings a dead guy back to life like he's rebooting an old laptop. Here, the Will can literally puppeteer corpses, which is only slightly less creepy than the fact that the local god, Ka, might actually be the ancient evil everyone's been calling the Cataclysm. Siror and Viridius think Vis's 3-world existence gives him alone the power to kill this rotting god. After he survives a city full of undead drones with swords for arms and a mysterious pyramid. Easy peasy. Meanwhile, in Lucian, the second Vis wakes up missing an arm on a boat, surrounded by warriors who do not have friendly welcome energy. A druid named Kian tries to help him escape, only to get dramatically beheaded. Vis ends up recovering on a peaceful farm, helping a family, learning the language, and generally having the most wholesome side quest of his entire existence. Until the inevitable danger catches up. And back in Res, the OG Vis is dealing with politics, grief, and betrayal. He attends Calidus's funeral, clashes with Ulkiskor, and nearly gets assassinated by Lanistia during a sacred ceremony. 3 worlds, 1 Vis, and a looming cataclysm that's wiped out civilizations 11 times already. No pressure. Buckle back into the transvect because this is clearly just the beginning.
Oh my goodness, these chapters of this book, honestly, give me the headache. I had to read a couple of times to understand what's going on.
I have waited so long to talk about this. Well, to even read it. I'm so excited to get stuck into the strength of the few. So let's get straight into confirmed, cursed, or completely unhinged. The part of the show where we either get to bank those bragging rights or have a laugh at ourselves for being way too wild with our previous theories. We got so much right.
I know. When I was reading this, I was like, oh, we did so good. I was so happy.
3 point stars. And we got quite a bit wrong as well. But let's talk about what we got right. 3 worlds, 3 POVs.
Yes.
And none of them know what the other is doing. So the way that we described it was that, or the way that we expected it to be, was that there was like a single line of 1 Vis, and then all of a sudden the 3 branched off. And they all have the same history, but they don't have the same presence, so they don't know what each other is doing in each world. And that pretty much sums up the situation we've got, right?
Yes, it's pretty much what is going on at this point.
Yes. And we also correctly predicted, or correctly kind of surmised, I would say not predicted, that Vis doesn't have an arm in Lucian, because it was the sacrifice for getting through the gate. He doesn't have his arm in Res, for now, though I have a theory about that. And then he does have his arm in Obertium. We obviously understood that when something happens to one of you in one realm, it also happens to the other one because of the run and the weight that Siror carved into his arm to get a message to Vis at the end of the Will of the Many. Well, we had confirmation of the fact that it kind of moved across the pain or the injury spanned the worlds because Vis's arm started hurting. But we also said perhaps there's a way to stop it. And there is. There is an amulet
Yes, one other thing that I said is that maybe we will see that in one of these realms, Beast will have the two arms, and then another one he won't have it, and that will be maybe another way to differentiate who is who and what he is.
Yeah, and the Spider-Man meme, although only one of them would be able to double point. For now, anyway.
Yeah.
We also predicted that Viridius and Zero were working together. I think there's confirmation here that Viridius is good.
Yes, because Zero was asking to Viz if Viridius was like, he told him about this and what's going on, and he thought that Viridius and they like prepared about what's going on. He wasn't expecting that Viz was doing all of this by himself. So obviously there is a clear like purpose here. There's a collaboration between Viridius and Zero.
The other thing, the gods are real. Well, they are calling Ka a god, but we don't actually know that he is a god or not. He's not been confirmed as a real god, but he's like thousands of years old.
Yeah.
There's something going on. He's not human.
Yes, but I think it's gonna be a case when somebody has so much power that maybe they can just getting old, so he can live forever because he had this much will. So I start to think about maybe this Ka is like the one that's on top of the three pyramids of the hierarchy, and he's getting like all the will from everywhere, and that's why he is kind of like a god. Still like a human origin, but now with this power.
Immortal.
Yeah. Another thing that we have right is I was saying that we will see the father of Calidus. Calidus. But we will see the father of Calidus, and he will have lots of regrets about his son, that he actually loved him. And this can like show in the little scene when Viz is talking with him alone, and obviously he really loves his son.
I know, it's so sad. And the fact that two of the Visses don't even know he's dead yet.
Yes, I know. It's so sad.
No, I don't know. Ignorance is bliss, maybe. He's happy, especially Lucian.
Yeah, some of them is thinking, well, they might think they're undead by this point, so they'll just like carry on with their lives.
Yeah.
Yes. And another one is we were saying about this new realm. There's going to be something like Stranger Things with the upside down. There's going to be like really similar to the one where he is. And Obsidian is the one who is really similar to Res, where this is coming from. And he was saying that it looks pretty much the same, apart of a few details like the massive waves.
And massive waves and pyramids.
Yes. And things that fly, there are no birds. Apart they're the same.
Yeah, almost the same. Same, but different. So let's get into screaming, crying, throwing swords. So our seasoned listeners will know that this is the part of the show where we talk about how we're feeling, what we think about the book, and ask any questions we have about the characters and the plot from this week's read-along. And this one is exciting for me because I don't know what's going to happen either. So all the way through The Will of the Many, I was like, oh, I can't talk about it. And then you'd ask me, what do you think of the reread? And I'd be like, this bit's interesting and this bit's interesting. And now I have no idea what.
Yes, now we are in the same place.
Yeah.
Finally.
Exactly. So how do you feel about the strength of the few so far?
I had to say that when I was reading the first chapter, I was confused AF. Absolutely foggy in my brain because I was trying to figure out what's going on, what is all of this, and you had this feeling that maybe you are like reading two brand new books, and in the same way you need to link it to the main story as well. So I had to read it a couple of times, and even like that, I still not sure if I like completely understand what's going on between these three realms. Yeah,
so like to reassure you, I don't think we're supposed to know yet. Like this is the challenge with reading a book, just the first few chapters, because fantasy books are notoriously difficult to get your head around at first. Like you have to read a few chapters to know what world you're in, who are the characters, because it's a completely different world. I felt the same. felt that, you know, those first few chapters in a fantasy book where you're just learning. Well, we had that twice over, and I could definitely tell I was feeling much more comfortable in Res. I was like, oh, I wish we could just go back to Res. But actually what I did is I read the chapters 1 to 13, and then I went back and I read all of the Obitium chapters, all of the Lucian chapters, and all of the Res chapters. So I skipped, and that just like completely cleared things up for me. At least I know what we are supposed to know at this point. Although obviously it's confusing because there's so many mysteries. Yeah. And I had to, in the part where we talk about, do you have any questions? I actually had to limit myself because I had so many questions. But instead of pitching them as questions, I just decided to think of a theory for them. Yeah, I love it. And I just wanted to say, the editor and James Islington, so clever, because they had to remember who's in which realm. They had to remember, what does Viz know? So when they're just tiny details, like we talked about earlier, or just now, in that he doesn't know that Calidus is dead. He doesn't know that Emissa betrayed him. He just talks about, oh, I miss my friends, Calidus, Emissa. And he's even having a dream about Emissa in Lyceum, in the first chapter of that. Yeah. And just, super clever having to remember all of those little plot holes. And also, if you think about character development, even as a writer yourself, you have to develop your character in one way, in one chapters. Then he's developing in another way in other chapters. And you can't kind of take the learnings that one Viz has had in one realm and not apply them to the other. It's so clever.
Yeah.
It must have been really hard to write.
Yeah, that's something that we have to say that is really complicated, all the stuff that is going on. Because like I said, it's basically 3 different books that you're writing here, 3 different stories. But at the same time, you need to remember the character, like you say, just the information they got until the point when they cross and then start these new realms. Yeah. That's really clever, yeah.
I'm still most excited about Res, like the fact that he's going to go through some more trials, and I'm most excited about that.
I was really happy when we got the chapters when he is in Res, because I was so invested already in that timeline that I just want to know a little bit more, like what's going to happen with Calidus' father, what's going to happen in governance, what's going on now with Viridius. We're going to get more information.
Are we going to,
Yes, all that kind of stuff. And then by the end of chapter 13, I started to get a little bit more invested in the other 2 stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Who is your favourite character this week?
I had to choose Eden, because even when he wasn't shown that much in these chapters, there's a moment when he was talking with Viz and he was showing this like vulnerable side, that he was saying that he didn't want to join Viz, and he tells why. Like the reason, because the offer from Viridius was so tempting for him that he didn't trust himself to not betray Viz. But now he's carrying with the guilt that if he would just...
Would he have managed to save Calidus?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So he feels guilty for that. And even Viz giving like a little hug and saying that, no, it's not your fault. Calidus will tell you exactly the same. You're a great man, never change. So it was a really nice moment.
Yeah. So my favourite character is Searaw. Like, I thought that would be hands down yours as well. He is their MVP this week. Like, he dropped all the truth bombs. The Viz in Obitium is definitely the most well-informed, whether he likes it or not. He's also really caring. Like, he was like, I'm going to hug you. And I know that's probably because he just desperately needed to see someone for 7 years.
Hug is going to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's going to last way longer than it should. And the fact that he's like set himself up here for 7 years, he's become a real key member of the rebels, casually sleeping in a crypt, and he's really funny and just relaxed. And Viz talks about it like how are you just so okay with all of this? And then he said an old teacher of his just told him you can rarely change a situation, but you can change the way that you feel about it. And that's just really good advice. So Cyril dropping truth bombs, dropping jokes, little smirks, little winks. I really like him. He's a lot nicer than his brother.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Even he defended Alquisco after he knew everything that Alquisco was, like, threatened this.
Yeah.
So, like, he's not like that. He's just, like, a lot of, like, pressure and stress.
Yeah, he misses his bro.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. His bro does seem like an actual bro. Okay, so I normally ask, were there any Ovek or Rotting Gods moments or key things you want to talk about? But I'm going to say, what were the Ovek and Rotting Gods moments that you want to talk about?
There's a main one for me. Like I said before, by the end of this chapter, I start to get invested more in the characters and the world we'll see. For example, in this case, and Lucian, when Kian was helping Vis. So he was like this warrior. There's like a kind of like a secret. Yeah. So we talk about they're kind of like maybe like a Jedi warrior or something that people admire it, or they have like a lot of respect about them. So I was thinking that yes, this is the one who's going to guide Vis. It's going to be with him through the whole book, and then he just lost the head.
Yeah, off with his head.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a surprise. He was really good, wasn't he? And he was going to take him to the person that he knows.
Yeah, I was thinking that he was like the Edin from this realm, because they were struggling with the language, but he was like a big warrior as well, and he was helping. But yeah, I didn't see that coming, and obviously Kian didn't see that coming either.
No. Oh, yeah, it was awful, and the kids saw it, and they also saw their dad die. It was like totally heartbreaking, that scene. Yeah, it took me a while. I think Lucian was probably the one that it took me longest to get my head around. Mostly because there was lots of different language. So even the dialogue that was there, we couldn't understand. I wonder, like, we're learning little bits of it, but I wonder if we will be able to go back and work out some of it. I don't know. I also think that's another kind of nod that he kind of had to create partially a new language to write this book. So he did an awful lot of research. The Rotting Gods moments for me, like, I've got loads. Are you ready? Is that the only one you have?
Yeah.
Wow. So everything in Obertium, the Yuncti. So the Yuncti are reanimated corpses. The way that the will works in Obertium is not to create and engineer. It is to basically just reinvigorate, so to bring back to life. So we learn that the Vitarium that are keeping Cyril's relative, kind of his body fresh in... That's a horrible way to say that, but that's what it's doing. In the crypt in the necropolis, in Res, is actually Obertium magic or will. It's basically the way that the Yuncti work, and you can take control of one by putting the obsidian blade in. That was fascinating, also grim. The rebels who live in the crypts, they've basically removed the bodies from the sarcophagi and just used the shrouds as blankets.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Creepy.
And yeah, the underground garden, the gleaners with blades for arms that just fly around. I'm glad there's artwork of that on the front cover, actually, because I could not picture that. But they're just like humanoids, but with blades for arms. It's incredible. Obertium and Ka makes me think, and the pyramids and the scarab beetles is really interesting for me, because it makes me think that Res is modelled on ancient Rome and Obertium is modelled on ancient Egypt. And there's the clash of Egypt and Rome. And I'm still yet to figure out what Lucian is. It feels like more Celtic, or like a little bit more Anglo-Saxon or something like to that effect. I don't know. I'm thinking about that just because I'm in the UK. So maybe there's a different culture that we might learn about that's more like Lucian. But I just feel lots of references to ancient Egypt. Like even the sarcophagi in the tombs and the shrouds. It's kind of like mummified remains. I don't know. But I'm really excited about that. Because also I don't know how much you know about Ka in ancient Egypt, but there's Ka and Ba, and they are 3 parts. So a body has 3 parts. I think it probably has more. So I'm not an expert in ancient Egypt, but when the gods created a human, a child, they created the child and its soul twin, Ka, and Ka was the soul that was like exactly the same form as the child. And then Ba was like an eagle with the child's head or the person's head. And they would always be together, but the soul remained after death. So Ka remained after death. And because there's Ba, Ka, and the person, it's like 3 parts of the same person. And I just wonder, like, if synchronous is the 3 parts of the soul. So there's something to do with maybe Lucian that's related to Ba, but I don't know. And it's fascinating because Ka, the soul, lived on. They believed that the soul lived after death and just hung around close to the body. And they would take feasts to the crypts and to the tombs in ancient Egypt and leave the food there. And they believed that the soul could like take the essence from the food that was there. Obviously the food would still be there because it doesn't eat the food. But I thought this whole thing was interesting because it's very related to ancient Egypt.
Yes, I was thinking that too. In the first book, we were more like in a Roman vibes, and by the end, not at the beginning, because at the beginning I couldn't even picture it like I was. I was like had like a totally different picture in my mind about how it looks like. But yeah, after a couple of times reading it, it feels like you said, like Egypt. And it's hard to say that maybe James Hamilton has a thing before, like it's history between Romans and Egyptians. We had Julius Caesar, we had Cleopatra. That these 2 worlds collide in some point. So now, like, we see this in this book as well.
Isn't it interesting as well? Like, I picked Cleopatra as my like person to find out more about if I could meet someone who was dead, and then the link between Rome and stuff. It seems to be. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, maybe there's a theory there.
Maybe.
I was never meant to love a human. But then, I saw her. I wasn't supposed to touch that fruit, but I took it, and I ate it. I was the most loyal of angels, until I lost her. Now they call me the devil, and I'll burn heaven itself before I lose her again.
Memoirs of Luzbel, a dark fantasy novel. Book 1 of the Luzbel Saga. Now available on Amazon.
Lucian, much calmer. So we don't know anything about Lucian. We still don't know about the magic. We know that Kian and his kind of peers, whatever they are, well, they have these staffs. And he gives the staff to Vis, and he can see the staff is glowing. So there's obviously some magic going on there, and that's kind of how the will works. But we know very little. We know that it's kind of a modest place, a beautiful green place. There's boats, there's farms. That's why I feel like it feels maybe Anglo-Saxon or Celtic or something. But we don't know much about Lucian. I did find it really funny how when he integrates with this family, he goes with them, they look after him, they take him into her dad's farm when her husband has been brutally murdered.
Yeah.
And she gets free childcare. It's like, what can I do to help? And she's like, definitely my children, so I can go out and work. I thought that whole thing was really funny because would probably choose that as well. And then the last oh my God's moment. So I just picked one thing that I wanted to talk about in each realm. Lannistia going AWOL, complete the journey warrior.
Yeah.
And obviously the fact that the gate to Lyceum and Obertium acted like the Aurora Columnae. So when it was his turn at the Aurora Columnae, it didn't work. Nothing worked because he'd already passed through the gate, which was confirmed by Sea-Roar in Obertium. I just loved that whole thing. And I've got some thoughts about Lannistia.
Yeah.
That we can talk about in the theories.
I can't wait what's going to happen to her after that, because remember the murder is not allowed.
Yeah.
The right of life.
I think we know what's going to happen to her.
Yeah. And if it's going to work for her, that's another thing. So,
is there anything you're struggling with?
Basically, all the things that's going on in between Obertium and Lucian is quite complicated, because you feel, like I said before, that you're reading totally different books, and you start to trying to understand who are the characters, what's going on, how this realm works. And I feel more I'm struggling more with Lucian than with Obertium, because at least with Zero, they a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's just telling. He's just telling you.
And the other one, I was struggling is because he doesn't know the language. He's trying to figure out what's going on, what's happening, trying to figure out their language. So we still don't have that many details. That's the stuff that at the moment is just
yeah, you just want to keep reading.
Yeah.
So I think there's a reason why we don't know much about Lyceum. So you know how in the last book I was starting to struggle with the number of times that Vis got knocked out, and I was starting to think that James Islington didn't have another way to transition from one scene to another. It's and I woke up and I'd been knocked out, and then I wake up here, and then I wake up somewhere else. Well, I think this is even more tricky for him in this book, because you've got to get to certain points in time, and a lot was happening in Obertium. A lot. They were reawakening Yunkti, and he was learning about Jedef and Tash, and trying to sticking the obsidian sword in. I'm acting it out here. Sticking the obsidian sword in and trying to control them with will. And loads was happening. So Lyceum naturally, to keep the pace so that we weren't absolutely exhausted, and to kind of get through the same number of days and weeks in Lyceum as he was getting through in Obertium, things had to just be a little bit simpler. He slept for a week or 2 weeks, didn't he, on the boat? He just slept. And then the next thing he was and life became easy, and for days we were doing this, and for days we were doing that, and I was just looking after the kids and going on treks, and it was just not a lot was happening, although apart from that, when everything happened and Cian got his head chopped off. But James Islington has to find some way of passing the time if lots of things are happening in one place. Yeah, same. Struggling, but not because I think it's bad, just because we need to keep reading.
Yes, we can't say that at the moment the book is not delivering everything that we want, because we are just in the first chapters. So really we need to carry on, and then start to see in which direction we're going, because so far it looks like we are completely 3 different paths. But I'm thinking that in some point those 3 paths, they're gonna collide.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Yes. So that when we are reading this the very first time, I didn't realize that some of the stuff there's in the cover of the book, because I started just reading it, I didn't pay attention to that. And I had a really clear vision about how Obertium looks in my mind. And then when I looked to the cover, it didn't look like that at all.
Really?
Yeah, so I was wondering if for you as well at the beginning, how you picture Obertium. So in the cover, we can see clear the gleaners, these people that have blades instead of arms, and they're flying around. And I think in the desert, you can see maybe this and Zero, like walking through the dooms. So when I was picturing this realm in my mind, I was thinking more like a post-apocalyptic world. So it's kind of like a desert, but not like a dune desert. There's all sand everywhere. I knew there was sand because they were covered themselves at some point to hide. But when you see the cover, it's just give me the vibes from Dune. So you see that everything happens like in the desert, and then this cleaner, they look like, I don't know, at the beginning I think was kind of like a ninjas or something
They
like
do
this.
look like ninjas, but just with blades for arms.
Yes, and they're just flying somehow. I guess, wheel.
Yeah. But they got legs.
Yes, but you see that everything is sand and then this massive pyramid.
Yeah, I did imagine it, like, because they talk about the dunes and the dryness and the desert. And yeah, I did imagine it like that.
Like totally like Egypt,
The heat.
basically.
Yeah, basically. That's why I got Egypt vibes. But I also have seen this cover. I bought this book months and months and months ago. So it could be that. I didn't know these were gleaners, and I did, when they first arrived, imagine them as birds, because they were talking about looking at the sky. And he said, am I looking for birds? Like, if I see a bird. And he was like, if only it was birds. So for some reason, I imagine them, you know, the remnants in Res, I imagined them as like demogorgons, but not with flower faces. So like demons. And I imagine these the same, but with wings.
Yeah.
So I imagined them to be a bit more like a monster and not like a humanoid with blade arms. And then I remembered seeing them on the front, and I was like, oh, as soon as he said blade arms, I was like, oh, that's what they are. But at first in my head, they were like demons with wings.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking there was more like a reference. The arms were kind of like so sharp. They look like blades, but no, they are literally
blades.
Yeah.
Yeah, swords. How do they eat?
They have always kebabs.
Yeah, like they make really good tandoori.
Yeah.
Yum.
What about you? Do you have any questions?
So I do have lots of questions, but like I said at the start, like I've tried to relate them to theories. So we can go into them in more depth in the will of the maybe section. But like, who is the person that Viz was supposed to be going to meet in Lyceum? Where is the will coming from in Obertium? I've got theories for all of those things. But so maybe it's just the right time rather than... Because I don't think I have any questions that won't be answered or won't be answered in the series. I would imagine loads of things are not answered in this book because it's not the final book. So, yeah, I'm going to save them for the Will of the Maybe.
Okay, let's go for it then.
So, the Will of the Maybe is the part of the show where we will lock in our predictions for the rest of the book in the hopes that we get at least something right by the end of the series. So, do you want to start?
Okay, so... I have a theory, and it's like an unhinged theory.
Good start.
Yes. So something that's hard to see that James Arlington really liked to surprise us. So, like, for example, with Sedocia, Relukia, the death of Kian, this kind of stuff. So Viz is an Overtian, and he is basically the only one who can maybe approach to this god. So Zero basically wants to train him to kill this Ka. And I'm thinking that maybe Ka is going to be somebody that Viz knows and appreciates. And once he has this Ka in front of him, he won't be able to kill him. And I was thinking just to like put something that you completely don't expect is going to be maybe Viz's father. Because I don't know yet if for somebody to exist and this realm has to cross like the labyrinth, the gate and the kind of stuff, or is a way that maybe two different people could exist in the same realm if I coming from the same origins. You know, that maybe we find out a Calidus in one of these realms, but it's not gonna be called Calidus. It's gonna be called something else. But then we want to see him, and it's gonna be the same physical appearance. So is it gonna be like this, or it has to be always go through?
Yeah.
Like being synchronized.
So I thought you had to be, but then Vis's dad did say he would see Calidus again, didn't he?
Yes.
Which is odd. But I love this theory. I love that you think he's Car, because I thought that he might be the person that Vis was going to see in Lucian. Because there's so many hints that he changes his name back to Diago, and obviously they call him Deglan, but the hints that, like, it's fine, I can go back to my old name because nobody's going to know me here. It just makes me think that he's going to meet somebody that he already knows. And the fact that his dad was... I like your idea that he's Car, because that could place him in all three worlds. And it would mean he's still alive, though.
Well, what about if the reason they attack Zeus is because they know the Cristobal is actually Ka, and then maybe they need to kill him in the three realms, and maybe the
but
people
then
who are
Ka
chasing.
would know, and then the cataclysm would have been triggered. So you think that triggered the start of the cataclysm?
Yes.
So I don't know. There was two. There were my front runner for Ka is Scarface. We don't have a name for him yet.
No.
The guy that is like heading up the Anguis. But then the thing that put me off that was, like, Zero said, if Ka knew that you were existed in all three, that you'd synchronized, he would immediately start a cataclysm to get rid of him. So that made me think it isn't him, because this Scarface guy knew, didn't he?
Yeah.
So unless, like, that's it and time's running out, the clock's ticking. And then I was thinking about, it could be nobody. could be just Ka, and we've not met him yet. And he's
a completely random guy that has been there for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. It's been there for thousands of years.
Exactly. But if it is so interesting, if it is Vis's dad, I'm thinking this through as I'm saying it, so it might be a bit jumbled. Then Ka could have, or Vis's dad could just be a lot older than we think he is, because he's just existing. And you're right, like, then he had this family, and maybe he keeps having different families, and he's there on Zeus, and he has this power, and they come and attack him.
Yeah, maybe like Highlander, he pretended he's dead for a little while, then start another identity. If he doesn't have, like, the power to...
But if he's dead in one world, then he's not synchronous anymore. So he's not all-powerful. So I think that either suggests that it's not his dad, or his dad isn't dead in Res. Because we know that you have to have all three. But
yeah, because for me, it was more like, first, the surprise that it's his father. But then I was thinking as well, but if his father, it won't be like his real father. It would be his father from Overtien. So, like you had the three V's.
Well, yeah, but then...
But it won't be like...
Yeah, but then Ka in Overtien won't be synchronous anymore. He's only synchronous if he remains alive in three.
Yeah. Yes.
So that would mean, but we saw him. We definitely saw him. He brought the little wooden boat. I don't think this was hallucinating. I don't know.
Well, we don't know if maybe it was somebody else. You said before that it could be maybe Indol. They grabbed the boat or something. Maybe it's a way to tell him that he knows the truth now.
But he literally had a conversation with his dad.
Yes, but the dad didn't mention the boat at all.
No, true. Yeah, I just feel like Ka is not his dad, mainly because of this, like, he's got to be alive in all three realms.
Yeah.
But I do think he's alive in two. I do think he's there in Lucian, mostly because, or it doesn't, maybe it's not his dad, but it's definitely someone from his old life because there's just too many references to, oh, it's all right, I can be called Diago here, nobody will know. And you're like, really? Nobody knows.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just had this feeling that we will meet this car and it's going to be somebody that we're not expecting, and Viz won't be able to kill it. Like, he will be training for that. He will go there, but then when he find out who car is, and like, nope.
Oh, interesting. So my 3 guesses, and my 2 guesses, I like yours though. So you're going to lock in that it's his dad so far. I'm going to say either Scarface or nobody.
Just somebody that new. Maybe
And if
new
it is
character.
Scarface, then Carr is planning the cataclysm imminently, and it will be like, oh, you've got to stop it. I don't think we're going to necessarily meet Carr even in this book. Because if Carr's a big bad guy, there's another 2 books, isn't there?
Yeah. So another thing that I'm expecting in the next chapter is that finally Viz will be able to talk with Viridius, and then Viridius will get us some answers about what he's doing and why. And maybe we can finally decide if Viridius is actually somebody that we can say, yes, he's a good person, or he's still dodgy.
No, I still think he's a good person. You know what I thought? This just triggered, but I didn't really think it through. For a while, I wondered if Bely, Bely was like pinned.
Yeah.
I wondered if she had died on the way out. And I was like, oh, is Bely actually somewhere in these realms? And the reason her body was still there was because she died on the way out.
Yeah, she didn't make her going back.
Yeah. I don't know. It just popped into my mind and then I completely forgot about it. Anyway, so I had to say it. I don't know. Unlikely, but... Because we were like, why is her body still there? It shouldn't have been there. And then I was like, oh, maybe it was because she was on the way out.
Yeah. There's nothing to tell us that somebody went in and then was going out.
No, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But then, right, so... I think we'll find out more. I think you're right. But whether it's the next chapters, I don't know. We've got 10 more chapters to read this week.
Well, but it is saying in this chapter that don't let it pass too long. That once he is ready to talk with him, he will send a transfer for him. So that's why I think there's going to be a list in this book.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the next 10 chapters that we had to read, but at least at some point.
Yeah, I think... So... Obitium Vis is going to be much more well-informed than the other 2. Closely followed by Rez.
Yeah.
If he starts to trust Viridius. I think he's going to find a lot out, though, from the census. And then Lucian is going to be the last one to find out because he's on his own until he meets the person he knows.
Okay, next theory. I think after all the drama that we saw with Lani, I think she will send to Azapar. And I had the feeling that once she goes there, it won't work with her. Because maybe there are like different frequencies of will. And she's still connecting to the one from the labyrinth.
From Obitium.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. So let's step through a little bit, Lani, what we know about her. So do we think she's a Yungti? Right. But she was rescued by Sea-Raw. What I can't rationalise really with Lani is that they were in class 3 together. Were they in class 3 together? Or is that just what Sea-Raw told her to say? And Viridius, to say? Was she just from the labyrinth? Was she ever in the academy? That's the question for me. She knows the labyrinth. She managed to recreate it because she's been in there for so long. Somehow I think she was awakened. Does she have a dagger in her stomach, or is she just acting on her own? I think, and I was thinking about what Sea-Raw was saying about Carr being able to control these from across the worlds. And he doesn't want anyone else to be synchronous. He only wants to be synchronous. So I was thinking that the Yungti are there specifically to kill the person. This might be obvious, and you might be like, well, yeah, obviously. But I don't know. I thought I was being clever. If somebody like this synchronizes, and then he runs out. The Yunkti all chase after him, right? Didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Until Diago the wolf got him. The Yunkti had their cars put them there to kill anyone who synchronizes, so that there's not 3 of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're unsuccessful in this one. But did they do that to Bely? Did, like, everybody else who tried, like Sea-Raw, was he killed on the way out?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know that Sea-Raw isn't synchronous, so he's definitely dead in Res.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he would be the one, wouldn't he, that went through. Yeah, sorry, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I feel like the Yunkti were put there by Car to kill the person on the way out.
Mm-hmm.
And Sea-Raw might have done something and rescued Lanny.
Yeah, but the strange thing is that once Viz tried to, like, go back, like he wants to go to the exit, every single one of them started telling the complete the journey warrior. It's like he didn't finish the game, or he didn't finish what he's supposed to do, but he went through this gate, and then what else they were expecting to do to, like, complete the journey if they want to just kill him?
No, he has to go. He goes through the gate,
Mm-hmm.
and then goes into Obitium and Lucian, and then it's only when they come out, the remnants chase him back, and then all the Yunkti people came, didn't they?
Yeah, but they start to say to him, complete the journey. So that's what I mean.
Death?
Like, he went through the gate, but apparently for them, that's not the end of the journey. So what is the end of the journey?
Well, like they also say synchronous is death. I don't know.
Literally death.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, complete the journey, that now you need to die.
Yeah. Because it says that the synchronization is reserved for leadership, and, like, Car is the only one. Yeah, he's linked to them all.
Yeah.
But how did Lanny escape? That is the question. Something to do with Sea-Raw. Sea-Raw rescued her. I wonder if they rescued her early on, when Viridius and Sea-Raw were, like, investigating the ruins. Maybe they pulled out the dagger and she was no longer controlled by Car.
We don't know exactly how is that these people, it just get there. I don't know if it's just the ones that Car selected just for this. And in the case of Lanny, if she was just a student and for some reason she took the place of one of these, it was because she was experimenting. Maybe she tried to like release one of these, and then because she was like releasing it, then she had to take the place. You know, like.
Does he not say that those people were the ones that they made it across the labyrinth, but they couldn't survive, so he turned them into Yunkti? I don't know. Maybe I misread that twice. Well, let's check.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're gonna learn more about Lanny.
Yeah.
For now, though, I think it's clear that she was one of them, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, definitely. She's still like connected to this realm or with these laws. Yeah. So another theory is that I think probably by the end of the full series, I don't think by the end of this book, but we will see that all 3 realms will be one again.
Do you think then there'll be one Vis?
Yes, and I think that Vis will have the 2 arms. So all the 3 Vis will be one again, and obviously the one with the arm, it will complete the other ones. Because so far we know that there was for like a one realm, and this one realm, it was split into 3. That's what we have now. So I think by the end of everything will come to what it was before, which means just one realm. And that's why I'm thinking that, yes, Vis lost an arm, but it's just because eventually he will get it back, because the one from Overtien still have both. And if you put all 3 realms in one.
Sea-Raw said there's no way home. Do we believe him? So you obviously don't. Will we get our Spider-Man moment? Multiverse.
I think they don't know the way yet, but if there's a way to go to this realm through this gate, I think there's another way to come back to where they were.
I agree. I also, you talked a bit about the arm. I'm going to give you one of my theories. I think he's either going to get some kind of mechanical arm that can be controlled by will in Res, because he can now use will, or something that'll be really cool is, Lanistia can basically replicate her eyesight by like manipulating the particle, like just echolocation kind of thing. Well, wouldn't it be awesome if he could just pick up objects and move objects like he has a will arm that nobody can see, but he can control it.
Yeah.
And he could like shake someone's hand, and he could do loads of stuff just with like air manipulation.
Or maybe they had the technology to recreate like an arm made of wood.
I think
with the wheel, he will be able to just do it.
Yeah, I think that's more likely. My original theory is that he would get some kind of mechanical arm or wooden arm, or it's like something, and it'd be will mechanical. And then in Lucian, he'll not have an arm, so he'll have his full arm in Obitium. He won't have an arm in Lucian, and he'll have some kind of will-powered arm.
Yes.
In Res.
Yes. And I definitely think that we will see like a multiverse crossover between this. So maybe we'll see one of these beasts going back to the other one, and then we'll see what's going on with the other ones. I think it will be more likely the beast from Obitian will go to see the beast from Res, and then what happened to your arm?
Yeah.
Then another theory that I had is not like a really nice one, but I think it's very likely as well. The Khalid's fathers, it will help this, because now he see that he is a really good guy and was his son's best friend for a reason. And I think for that, he will die as well. So he will be like...
That's sad.
Yeah, so they both think the military is doing something dodgy to gain more power or to stay relevant. So because this, it will do something about it. And I think he, as the person who is in governance, he will help and he will give him maybe resources. Military will kill him or make it look like an accident, like all mafia.
Yeah. Oh, I hope not. I hope not before we get to know him anyway.
Yes. And following with that trend.
Oh no, who else is going to die?
This lovely family that's in Lucian with him.
Well, yeah. The druids arrived, didn't they? Just at the end. And I was like, oh, everything's so calm. What a lovely story. It's basically in a spa. It's basically in a well-being retreat. And then the druids arrived. And that was like we have to stop reading.
So I think because they've been helping him, something's going to happen to this family, and that's going to be one of the stuff they're going to keep it motivated to change things in this realm as well.
Oh, the kids.
I know.
Okay, any more from you before I go into mine?
Yes, I had just last one, and I think this is going to be expectation as well for these next chapters. And I think that Emisa, she will have a chat with Viz, and then Viz will find out that she had really good reasons to trying to break his heart. Literally break it.
I have a theory about Emisa, maybe building on this. So we found out one tiny snippet of information. We found out that she had already been to the Aurora Columni before she went to the academy, because she was the only one that wasn't there on the ceremony day. And that was confirming Viz's suspicions that she'd already done it. I think this was protection against her going in the labyrinth. I think she knew all about it. Her family knew all about it. And her family, and that kind of act of taking her to the Aurora Columni before the academy was to protect her, to stop Viridius sending her through the labyrinth. Although she was very good, she got to class 3. she was never going to go through the labyrinth because it wouldn't have worked, because the portal needed you to have not been through the Aurora alumni.
Yeah.
But I think she can tell, like she knows about synchronization, and she was possibly put up to killing him because Carr needs him dead. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I feel like her family knows about it. I don't trust her family yet. I don't think she's bad, but I think she's been told what to do, or she's like being controlled or something.
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely knows more than all the stuff that we see in the pages. And there's still a lot of stuff that we don't know about her, like how she found out about Indol, that he wants to give up military to go to religion. She knew that. And we still don't know. We still have maybe there's something about the water at the beginning, that maybe she did something to this to get information. So is she a spy? Is she somebody that is there for a specific reason, working with Viridius as well?
Yeah, I don't think she's a bad person, though. I don't know why. I just believe that she's not bad. And Viridius, I think Viridius trusts her. Mm-hmm. And I think Viridius is good, so...
Yeah.
One of the questions I raised, where is the will coming from in Obitium? Mm-hmm. Vis asks Searaw this, and Searaw says, well, if you ever figure it out, let me know. Something to that effect. They don't know. So I think either the princeps of the pyramids are feeding Ka, because the will has to go somewhere, not just into the most powerful things and beings. But I also I'm suspicious of the sappers, because the maths don't add up. You've got the pyramids, and then they say the sapper. You sap the people at the bottom who are outside of a pyramid. So where does that go? And we know that there's technology that works across the worlds because of the Vitarium. So there's no reason why the sappers couldn't be feeding Obitium. I said at the start that I'm really excited about the Res storyline. And I said in The Will of the Many that I wished that the academy was maybe 3 years so that we could spend more time seeing him progress. But I think we're going to get a really similar storyline, so I'm excited about it, because he's going to have to start at the bottom because he's defected to governance and nobody trusts him. They think that the military are putting him there to find information. So he has to start as a sextus instead of a quartus, like the rest of the people leaving the academy in class 3. And he's going to have to prove himself. So he's going to have to learn the will. It's going to be really hard. He's only got one arm, so he's going to be at a disadvantage anyway. And then he is going to have to overcome the odds and finish top, and he will. That's my prediction for that storyline, is more trials, more fun, more competitions. It's basically a grad scheme. It's like a graduate scheme of new entrants into.
Yeah, I see that as we're getting again all the stuff that we had with the academy. So we're having that
0 to hero, and now he's just hero, but nobody really trusts him. It does feel like Alkiskor is going to keep him as a son. And then I agree with you, Lanicia's going to go. She's not going to be around, is she? So interesting, though, that it's all of a sudden come back.
Yeah.
And she's reacting to his blood, just like Emissa.
Yes. That she was feeling headache first. So obviously she can feel something emanating from him.
Yeah. Yeah. So she's kind of awake to it as well. Is Emissa somehow related to the Yunkti? Maybe she tried.
Well, she had eyes.
Yeah. She has eyes, yeah. But so do the Yunkti and Obitium. Anyway, I think that's probably it for now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of theories there, and I interjected mine into yours when you were talking, because we had very similar theories on at least the same topics.
Yeah.
So, sticking with the theme of precognition, let's look at the chapters we are going to cover this week.
So, for next week, we're going to be with chapters 14 to 24.
10 chapters. It's not going to be enough. Although, it's around about 5 hours reading time for
so
a slow reader.
Chapters, yeah.
Well, it's the same for each week. Split it evenly. So sometimes it's more than 10, sometimes it's 10. So before we finish, there is still time to go sapping for secrets. This is the part of the show where we pose ourselves a question and sap deep into our will for the answers. Unlike our main man, Vis, we are not immune to the sapper. So there's no dodging, no scheming, just the truth. Just wait, do we need to change this intro? Because he might not be immune to a sapper anymore. Anyway, for now. So do you want this week's question?
Okay, what we got for today?
It's quite a deep one, actually. It requires you looking back in your past and thinking about your life slightly differently. Okay. So this is split into 3 versions when he made it through the labyrinth, each developing differently based on their experiences. What is the one most pivotal moment or decision in your life that would have had the biggest impact if you branched off into 3 different versions of yourself?
Oh.
Does that make sense? Like one decision that could be the pivotal moment, and if you had given one answer, you'd gone one way, done something else. Like they've got to be related decisions. It's tricky.
I mean, tell me about it. Somebody that was born in Colombia.
No. Don't think about it now. Next week. Otherwise, you can't give that as your...
No, but I mean, I had like a lot of moments like this.
And that's all we've got time for this week. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Faithfully Fantasy Pod. Come and join the conversation. Are you reading along, or have you already read it and have we got lots right or wrong? No spoilers though, please, because we really want to do this a few chapters each week.
Also, a quick reminder, if you love the show and want even more, we got a supporters options at faithfullyfantasy.com. You get bonus episodes, early access, and you'll be helping the podcast grow. And with this, we have just one more thing to say. Thank you for listening to Faithfully Fantasy,
the husband and wife podcast talking all things the strength of the few.
We'll see you next week for our read-along of chapters 14 to 24, and of course, for more Faithfully Fantasy.
Bye!